many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes, your AK-47. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Oh, hell no!
Hell yes, we're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
It's Sunday Night Live, everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is the zoo. This is where we talk about anything we want, anything at all. Now, if your topic may meander into the zone where YouTube doesn't like it, well, I'll use some sneaky little code words so we can still talk about it. We'll talk about anything, right? It'll be in code, but uncensored code, I tell you what. Anyways, here we are. We're on YouTube, we're on thepreparedmind.club, and we're on subscribestar.com. Now, everyone's here for Sunday Night Live. If you have a question, there's a super chat button right up there that you hit, and you get your question on here. We put it on the screen. We'll make you famous or semi-famous. Some of you are anonymous. Some of us have had your names redacted. Some of you say, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. And you let everyone have it. And I think we need more free speech, not less. We need more free speech, folks, more. So yeah, we're live. It is Sunday Night Live. Let's see, you got the super chat button, you got PayPal, you got Venmo, and you got CashApp. Those are the different ways that you can contribute to our Get the Fuck Back and Stay Back Fund. And folks, it may be even turning into, well, I don't know. I'm certainly staying back, but I'm going to get out there. In fact, a quick update. The Aquatic Adventures with John channel, right after the show here live, I'm going to release it, the next episode, pow, over on Aquatic Adventures with John. And that is the channel everyone's been at. Well, not everyone, almost everyone, a lot of you. Well, those of you who give a shit and wondered what the hell it is I do on the weekends when I've got time off, when I go someplace, right? Do I just go out and sit at a bar and drink all night, or do I actually do something? Well, I actually do quite a bit, and it's time to share that with you. Getting in shape, right? I talk about here, right, the prepared mind. Well, you need to prepare your body. And so since moving back from the RMZ, I've done a lot of physical training, physical fitness stuff, and spent a lot of time outdoors. Got a lot of great pictures and things like that, but decided it's time to share those adventures with you. And so I've got that other channel as well. It's going to take more time, but I think it's important. Just important to get it out there. Live your lives, folks. Get prepared. Be prepared here. Know that world, that 10-mile radius around you, but damn it, have some fun while you get some exercise. Enjoy life. These bastards in charge aren't going to give us a break. We have to give ourselves a break. Anyways, that'll come up right after the show. You should be, it was the Prepared Mind BC channel. I just changed the name on it. We're changing the content. So we've got a 1-2 punch. Get your mind ready, get your body ready type punch. And oh, in addition to that, next week, or rather next weekend, I'm heading down into Florida, Central Florida. I'm going to go check out some hurricane damage and see exactly what can be done down there, how they need to stay in shape, what they need to be ready for, what would they expect, right? That's going to go check it out, get some footage, maybe do a little bit of, well, aquatic adventuring down there. Should be interesting, folks, but I think the people of Florida learned what it's like to be prepared or not. Anyways, let's kick off this show We've got, let's see, let's put up Elon Musk first, right? He responded to the Washington, D.C. police because the authorities in Washington, D.C., folks, the Secret Service, the FBI, I mean, the D.C. police said, hey, we may never discover whose cocaine was in the White House. This story has not gone away. I mean, I think it was Jake the Snake Sullivan suggested it's construction workers who left cocaine in the West Wing. Really? All right, I'm a general contractor, and it was construction workers. Folks, construction workers can't afford cocaine. No, maybe contractors can, but nobody is allowed in the White House without going through some sort of checks and going past drug and bomb sniffing dogs. Nobody, folks. Anyways, the DC police, they're like, we may never know. So Elon Musk says, hey, any guesses? We're still getting that type of bullshit too from the White House. Whether it's Jean-Pierre, whatever the hell her name is, Jean-Pierre Pierre, right? And I love the memes out there that show her upper lip all white while she's trying to answer the question about whose cocaine it was. They're actually now trying to say that cocaine has been in the White House going all the way back to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Yeah, they got cake plates loaded with it, right? Like mountains of sugar for your coffee. You don't have to guess too much, too long, too far to figure it out. Anyways, folks, it is Sunday night. I think you've taken a good guess as to where we're at in this world. It is a shitstorm, SHTF. Do your part. Hit the thumbs up. Do it now. Let everyone know we're coming and we're here. And let's do this. Let's start off the show with who usually starts off the show. Who wants to step up first? I think we've got, I believe it's Chin Music. Is it not? Let's start with him. And we have a big, I believe, 56 super chat donation. We're starting off with a big one, 55.56. And Chin Music says, anyone notice Build Back Better has quietly been shifted to Bidenomics? Doesn't matter. You can't polish a turd. Oh, that is so true. So true. He says, every single leading economic indicator is negative, and only 24% of Americans approve of Joe Manchin's handling of the economy. Doesn't stop the administration and the media from lying. Chin Music continues. He says, I'm so sick of the lies and deception. It feels like getting hit with a stick over and over. Let me to continue for you, and over, and it won't stop. Anybody beside me done trying to play nice? Well, here we are. No more Mr. Nice John. No more Mr. Nice Prepper. No more Mr. Nice Patriot. There's no reason to be nice. Nice has gotten us where we're at today because all those sellout Republicans, well, they're nice about it. They give the left wing a pass. They give Democrats a pass. They allow socialists to talk. They allow communists on the streets. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Done. No more. Not gonna do it. Yeah, but we're being lied to so often that I don't think Americans are even listening. We just crossed 200 people live right now. That internet address right up there, this is where you come in handy. The only way this channel stays alive, folks, is because of you. Your support here on the show and your support by sharing that address with others. I recommend strongly you send it to people as we start this show off. Okay, now, the lies and deception. It's all you get now. And I remember them saying, right, well, Hitler said, or Joseph Goebbels said, or Heinrich Himmler said, you know, pick your Nazi. If you just tell a lie, keep telling it, and tell it long enough, everyone believes it. I don't believe anything about anything coming out of Washington, D.C., especially if it's coming from Joe Biden or his mouthpieces. And Joe Biden is himself just a mouthpiece. But it is disgusting and it's irritating. Kind of like foot fungus, athlete's foot. It's just irritating. You know what it is. You know it's a lie. You know what these people are saying just isn't true, but it keeps coming at us. Oh, it wasn't Hunter Biden. It wasn't Joe Biden. No. It was a construction worker. It was a tourist. It was Trump that put that cocaine in the White House. You know it, folks. You know it. I'd still like to know how that news got out. I'm sure the first person that saw it, some Secret Service agent, who kind of found a baggie of cocaine, didn't start swinging it over his head and smack it in his hands and make white powder fly all over the place, then run out the door and grab the media and start telling them. Somebody did, though, folks. Somebody decided to let the cat out of the bag. I think somebody is sick and tired of seeing what they're seeing, hearing what they're hearing, and watching what they are doing in our White House. It is, folks, really disgusting. Thank you, Mr. Chin Music, for always supporting this channel, always being right up here. Oh, and by the way, lest I forget, every $50 or more Super Chat donation buys a Glenlivet 18 single malt Scotch right here. I don't want to forget this. I got to supercharge the brain. And it's been a heck of a weekend. Very busy. Lots to learn, lots to do, lots to know. Semper Fi, everyone. Woo! There it is. Right out the gate. Now, who is next? It is none other than Darcy T, who checks in as well with her $50 Super Chat donation. And she says, hey, good evening, John. Here's some cash for the till. And I'll tell you what, right there. Now we're taken care of. Now we're cooking with Crisco. Going to get everything lubricated and slicked up. I hope you brought your beverage. Something to drink, folks, because we're going to cover some ground tonight. Yes, we are. Oh, yeah. How? Okay. Thank you, Darcy T, for your awesome donation. Where do you want to go, folks? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Do you see it yet? Do you know what's going on in Europe right now? You know what's going on with social media, the government, law enforcement, the courts? Do you realize the trouble we're in financially, economically, and monetarily in this country? There's so many different ways we're screwed. And you, I pray you've got the things you need to survive on your own for a month or two. And it may not be all at once. You may get a week here and a week there. We could have shit it's the fan hotspots. We could have them in Atlanta, San Francisco. We could have them up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, right? Or Dearborn, Michigan, or Flint, Michigan, or Detroit, Michigan, or all of Michigan. We could have entire areas of the country falling apart. Hell, we had idiots in Minneapolis shooting explosive fireworks at police. They don't give a shit, folks. If they're willing to do that to the police, do you think they're willing to do that to you? The same way they set fire to businesses and homes back in 2020? I wonder if the natives here, natives meaning the native ghettoites, do you think they're getting restless seeing Europe burn itself to the ground? Crazy stuff. All right, we're cruising. We're past 250 people live, on our way to 300. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you've hit it. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that notification bell down there that you've hit it as well. So that when we put out text, when we put out information, when we put out new videos, you get the notice sent to you inside YouTube. All right, Jolene, man, let's start getting to some other stuff. We got Jason Walker. He has become a YouTube member here on the Prepared Mind channel. You can be a member at Subscribestar. You can be a member at thepreparedmind.club and also here on YouTube. And thank you for showing your support for the work we do. We've got hardware, we've got software, we've got studio equipment, we've got all kinds of things to pay for, and you guys make sure it continues to happen. Thank you so much. And who is next? We've got Count Chad the Impaler with a 556 Super Chat donation. Pow, he found the button. He says 45% of the Coke was Hunter's. He gave 45% to Zelensky because sharing is caring. The other 10% was for the big guy. Of course it was. You got to give the big guy his 10%. And that just makes the most sense. I'm sure that Hunter wouldn't have all the fun he's having today if he didn't make all kinds of money back in Ukraine when he was serving on Burisma's board. A man whose only accomplishment was being kicked out of the Navy for being a drug addict gets appointed to the energy board of a country, an entire nation. Wow. Yeah, I guess it's good to be Joe's son. You work for the big guy, though, you're going to pay. You're going to pay. Oh, man, I tell you. Let's check out a couple of things that I found particularly interesting. You remember that little saying we had when this country was burning, much like Europe is today? Right? Defund the police and all cops are bastards. ACAB, ACAB. Defund the police, defund the police. Well, Mark Zuckerberg was one of those types, right? He was a defund the police supporter. Mark Zuckerberg, Zark Muckerberg of, well, Facebook fame and shame. And he is now being shamed on Threads. And Uman and I were talking about this before the show. Hopefully Zuckerberg does get to fight Elon Musk in the cage. And yeah, Zark Muckerberg is supposed to actually have some combat training, some mixed martial arts. But how many of you would like to get your hands on that little rat in the cage and take your chances? Anyways, the little chicken shit who wants to defund the police for you in your neighborhood and your world, he spent $43 million on private security. It's quite a bit of money, don't you think? $43 million, according to, well, the Gateway Pundit. The little chicken shit needs people to protect him. Folks, $43 million? How many people do you think that would put on a police force? Think about it. $43 million. If one person to hire one cop is $100,000 a year, that's 10 times. That's 430 policemen that he could put to work. No, he wants them all for himself. Rules for thee, but not for little Z, Zuckerberg. What a chicken shit. But someone who does need security, I think, is Adam Schiff. That's right, Shitty Schiff. That guy right there, he needs some security because he's told some whoppers, folks. Get your super chat donations in. Get your questions in. Right up there is the button up on the screen to the right of it. I want to know what you have on your mind, what you're thinking about, whether it was last week or what you see coming next week or what happened this weekend. Well, Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida has decided that she needs to go after Adam Schiff. And what did you and I talk about last week? Holding these scumbags accountable. I don't know how many times I brought it up alone saying Adam Schiff, he needs to be expelled from Congress. So Representative Republican Luna said, Adam Schiff cooked up this bullshit story. We have to hold him accountable. I agree 100%. Are you phone calling, writing, emailing, texting, messaging, bow and arrow with a nice little note attached to it? Are you using carrier pigeon, smoke signals? What are you doing to contact these people? It doesn't cost anything anymore. It doesn't cost money to call long distance anymore. It doesn't cost anything to send an email. It doesn't cost anything, folks, but the value the value of what you do when you contact your representatives in Washington is immense. Now, during an election, millions of people vote. Tens of millions of people vote. After the election, very, 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 very few people ever bother with their congressmen or with their senators. If you do that, if you step up and you send them a message, they're going to hear from you. Unlike when they get your vote. Do it, folks. Support this movement to get Schiff thrown the fuck out. He needs to be held accountable big time. Big time. All of these idiots need to be held accountable, by the way. I can feel that scotch kind of lubricating the joints, getting the jaw muscles loosened up so I can do some more talking here. You know, speaking of holding someone accountable, there's a Native American chief up in Vermont who has seen and heard what Ben and Jerry's called for, and he's calling them on their shit. He wants to hold them accountable, right? Because on July 4th, Independence Day, while we were celebrating our nation's birth and telling the King of England to stuff it in his ass, right? Ben and Jerry's decided they were going to insult the hell out of everyone. And what did they do? They said that, you know, America is stolen indigenous land, right? And we need to give it back. Here's a quote from their little tweet. And it says, this 4th of July, it's high time we recognize that the U.S. exists on stolen indigenous land and commit to returning it. And so this chief, right, this tribal chief, couldn't take it. His name is Don Stevens. He's chief of the Nulhagen band of the Kusuk Abenaki tribe, right? It's a recognized tribe, a real tribe, right? He came out and he says, maybe Ben and Jerry's needs to give their land up. It's crazy, right? They say they want to give up. We should give up the land. I mean, how do you do that? I mean, even the chief today, right? He looks like he is 3/4 European. But he approached Ben and Jerry and he said, hey, look, if the ice cream maker is sincere, he should reach out to me, right? He says, we're always interested in reclaiming the stewardship of our lands throughout our traditional territories and providing opportunities to uplift our communities. And he says, if and when we are approached, many conversations and discussions will need to take place to determine the best path forward for all involved. Yeah, I tell you what, I don't expect Ben and Jerry to give up their money or their land any more than you would expect Al Gore or Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama to hand back the money to the people, right? How much does Oprah Winfrey really need? How much? Could she live in a modest house, drive a modest car, and live a modestly comfortable life and never have to work again? Even have enough money to go on a nice couple of vacations 3 or 4 or 5 times a year and give billions of dollars back to the, I don't know, let's say the ghetto communities of the country? Oh, she could. But has she? Does that make her a hypocrite? Well, if you're a socialist, it makes you a hypocrite. Anyways, I guess if you're them, then you're expected to be, you know, they want to be these rich, we want to call them elite fucks. Okay, let us continue, right? Well, I think people really have had it at these left-wing jackasses. Phil Murphy was at a concert that was put on near his waterfront mansion. Well, who's Phil Murphy, you say? Well, he's the governor of New Jersey, and he showed up at this concert that was put on near his big, beautiful mansion, and the people booed the shit out of him. People have had it with these carpetbagger politicians, because that's exactly what they are. They're a bunch of carpetbagging pieces of crap. whether they're politicians or elite media folks in the entertainment industry or news industry. Help people wake up. We just crossed over 300 people live, folks, right now. I think we're on our way to 4. So make sure, give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you share that internet address, and let's get on with it. Let's get down. Let's do another super chat donation. We've got one coming up right now, and it is Luke Thompson with a $5 super chat donation. He says, John, you are looking summertime buff. Ever since my son said that he's going to re-enlist, him and I have been working out like fighter jets. Well, that's really awesome. That's really awesome. I appreciate the compliment. Getting out, exercising, doing a lot of swimming, folks. I'm doing a lot of swimming. It's really good. My knees don't hurt as much. My shoulders don't hurt as much when I do a lot of water exercise. It's good cardio. It's good for everything. Just like being around water, which is why we're doing the Aquatic Adventures with John show. It's going to be fun. As you can tell, this light skin complexion doesn't help me a whole lot when it comes to the sun, but I wear sun shirts and things like that. But you got to get out there, folks. You've got to be ready for what's going on, what's coming. Get in good shape. Right? If your body is strong, if you're breathing well, you're in good shape. We have that kind of trouble coming. Folks, look at these people on the left. Look at these people on the left. They've taken the Jim Jones juice. They've taken the juice booster after juice booster after juice booster. And guess what? They're getting sick. They're getting sicker. You don't have to run a world record marathon speed, folks. You just have to be able to outrun people who are just ready to fall over having a heart attack. All right, let's do it, Jolene. Let's get them up there, and we'll talk about it. We got the Schlitz Malt Liquor Man with a $10 super chat donation. Thank you there, Schlitz Malt Liquor. No question, so I've got one for him. You bet. I'm generous that way. I've got a topic. I've got a topic. Get this. Hillary Clinton, with all of her might and muscle, she gets behind Joe Biden and wants to support him. She wants to support Joe Biden, even though there's this huge, massive cocaine issue. Now, what's funny is her husband, Bill Clinton, was governor of Arkansas when the CIA was running cocaine through the Mena, Arkansas airport. And it was it Helen Thomas? Was she the news lady? Asked Bill Clinton about it when he was president later. Folks, it's well known back in the 80s and then the 90s that the Clintons were involved with cocaine bigger than shit. So little cocaine doesn't scare Hillary herself. Anyways, she was brutally put down. So the old hag, I mean, get this, Hunter Biden was out at the White House at the rail with everyone celebrating, I guess, Independence Day Pride. I mean, did they have rainbow fireworks for the 4th Pride? I mean, they could have insulted America a little better. Well, instead, the old Hunter decided he would just put a bunch of coke up his nose in front of the world. Anyways, Hillary Clinton says there's only one presidential candidate who's working to make life better for parents, and it's Joe Biden. Really? That's amazing. Yeah, so what did she say again? There's only one presidential candidate who's working to make life better for parents. Someone responded to that and said, I thought she said peasants. Yeah. And Biden doesn't care about your kid. All he cares about is indoctrinating them. Yeah, right. And then there's another person who says, what kind of so-called parents or grandparents disown their own flesh and blood, Hillary? That's right. Joe Biden has ignores his grandchild because, well, I guess Hunter doesn't want to pay child support. Talk about a complete scumbag. It's not like he doesn't have the money for it. All he's got to do is sell some of his coke off. I mean, we got video of him weighing drugs and arguing about their value and the weight of them with a hooker. anyone at this point who would sleep with Hunter Biden is clearly a prostitute one way or another. And so in continuing response, Darth Crypto responded to Hillary and said, there's only one president who came up with such creative uses for cigars as he turned blue dresses into Jackson Pollock paintings. And that was Bill Clinton. And a steady supply of cocaine, right? Oh yeah, I tell you, everyone knows, folks. We all know. We know the truth. We know the facts. There's enough out there. But what are we going to do about it? What are you and I going to do about it? All right, folks, it's your chance. This is Sunday Night Live. We just crossed the 30-minute mark. We've done a bunch of great super chats coming from you guys, your questions. You want to talk. You got a thought. You got a story. You have a prediction. You have a recommendation. You want to help other people get your idea in, hit the super chat button. Pow, we'll make you famous. And I'm telling you, folks, I get so many interesting emails. I get emails from people who say it's not just me, it's everybody participating in the community. Like right now, there's all these conversations going on in the chat zone. Right, that's amazing to me. Right, that you guys bring up such great topics and have such fun behind the scenes while I'm on this side of the camera doing this thing. All right, now what topic do we want to go with next? And I want to invite, also we have, of course, Uman here, and we have Jolene here. So let's do it, folks. Let's get into some more conversations. Uman, you've always got something you want to talk about. I want to talk about President Trump right now. Now, he attended a UFC, Ultimate Fighter Championship fight. He attended one of those. And there's something about Trump when the people are around him, people like him, right? Is he Ronald Reagan? No. Is he George Washington? No. But he is President Trump. And he has a way of communicating with the people and reaching out to them in such a way that they want to reach out back. So Driscus Duplessis is the name of the fighter. After he got through his fight, he jumped over the cage to shake President Trump's hand following, the fight. And another fighter told Trump, hey, man, we need you, right? Now, what's interesting is Trump was the president of the United States. Why would he expose himself and risk so much? One of these fighters could jump over the cage, jump in the audience, and start pummeling the shit out of him. Trump isn't afraid of the people approaching him, folks. What does that tell you? I can tell you what it tells me. It tells me that he knows the common man is not a problem. That people that work hard and are dedicated are not the problem. They're what makes America great. Right? Makes America great. Unlike Build Back Better Bidenomics, as Chin Music pointed out, right? We don't hear about Build Back Better. It's the stupidest thing ever. And calling it Bidenomics, that's really putting his name to a sack of shit, economic, financial disaster. But Trump isn't afraid of people, folks. Right? His Make America Great Again is a slogan that people still say. Right? And we want America to be great again, no matter who the president is. Anyways, it's quite interesting that all you have to do is, stand up, work your ass off, right? Tell the truth, and you will have a clear conscience. It's for one of these fighters or many of them to say and yell out to the president, and the country needs you. They're not afraid, are they? Are you afraid? Are you being harassed? Are you being threatened? Are you being told that you have to support these crazy, outlandish, lunatic left-wing things at work, at your kid's school? Or if you want to see your kids or your grandkids, are your kids holding you away from them because you're just too radical because you like freedom and liberty? I'm continuing to hear how families are being ripped apart by this left-wing lunacy. And people, parents and grandparents, are calling everyone out. When they finally wake up and say, we've got to start calling them out. We've got to start speaking the truth, because not speaking the truth And not wanting to make waves is continuing to make things worse. It's kind of like saying, well, don't go over there and try and put out that fire because you could get burned. Well, if you don't try and put out the fire, it's going to burn everyone and everything. Right? You've got to do your best to get at it. We all do, folks. All right, let's do this. Jolene, I'd like to do another super chat question. And we got Shelly Chambers with a $50 super chat donation. And you know what that means. That's right. There it is. The Glenn Levitt 18. Breaking that bottle out, Shelly. I'll get to your question in just a moment. I have to get the reward, though. Make sure that's taken care of. Oh, I poured a little too much in. Silly me. Oh, yes. Mother's milk. Thank you, Shelly, for supporting the channel, for supporting freedom, for supporting America, for supporting helping others. Smooth. All right, this is what Shelly has to say. Throughout history, for thousands of years, there has been tyranny and slavery. Why should one particular group of people at one point in history deserve recompense? Isn't that unfair to all the others in history who don't receive that recompense? You know what Shelly's talking about, I hope. She's talking about restitution, unless I'm mistaken. Restitution, that is the descendants of slaves in America demanding money because their great-great-great-grandparents and back may or may not have been slaves. Now, again, the slaves who were African slaves were captured by other African tribes and then sold to the slave traders who paid for them. So yeah, first they were captured, either kidnapped or defeated tribes in war, and they were sold as slaves by other Africans. And then they came here to America, and many were turned free. Many were freed. Many lived generations as slaves, folks. But Shelly Chambers has an interesting point. Thousands of years has been tyranny from government and slavery from one particular people to another. The Japanese have enslaved the Chinese. The Chinese have done the same to the Japanese. The Pakistanis, the Afghanis, the Hindis, slaves have been part of history, world history, for thousands and thousands of years. So why is it that the American descendants of slaves think they are owed something? Well, because it's part of a political agenda, Shelley. It really has nothing to do with truth or reality. People have prejudices. They do. I understand it. I've been subjected to prejudice, and I myself have a prejudicial mindset in some topics. I do not like stupid people. I'm very prejudiced against them. And when I meet stupid people, I try not to have anything to do with them. I want to get away from them, right? Is that a bad prejudice to have? Is that a bad discriminatory practice? And it used to be that discriminating minds, right, only liked good stuff, good things. It used to be good to be discriminating. Well, they turned it into a dirty word, unless, of course, it's against white people or Christians or men. Anyways, why would one particular group deserve recompense, restitution? It is unfair to all others. Folks, my great ancestors going back 1,000 years, the Vikings, they went down, sailed through Europe in many places, into even the Near East, Turkey, killing people and enslaving them and stealing women and putting them in their boats and taking them home. Does that mean I should have to pay people back in Turkey and France and Spain and England and the Netherlands and what's now Germany? In fact, shouldn't the German government give the country of Germany back to the indigenous German population? That's right. The current government is not a government of the German people as it was hundreds of years ago when it was just a bunch of screaming Celts or Franks before that. It's a ridiculous idea to return the country of the United States of America back to the indigenous population is impossible because there are no 100% indigenous populations. There are people of indigenous descent, but there are no populations that are pure indigenous. I doubt it. I strongly doubt it. It's ridiculous. There are people who have the phenotype. They look a certain way, do they not? And when we see them, are we supposed to feel bad about that because they look a certain way? Well, I mean, here we are. Let's look at this a little differently. Restitution. What if you have African genetics in you and you don't show it? You are not, right? You're genetically African, but you're not phenotypically African. Does that count? What if I said I was 1/16 African? Should I get restitution, or should I only get restitution for 1/16 what an African would get? Why would an African get anything? They're 100% African. They should be in Africa, right? So you have to be American. And he's like, how do you figure this out? And then who pays for it? And then why? It's freaking ridiculous. But again, the real truth of the matter is, Shelley, the point of it is to cause conflict, to cause anger and hatred between one group of Americans and try and convince them that they need to hate another group of Americans and to not live their own lives, but to try and relive the lives of their great-great-great-grandparents and bring some sort of anger and hatred and venom onto the people new that have nothing to do with it. And that's just it, is I had nothing to do with what my ancestors did as Vikings. I had nothing to do with Russians, Soviets, or Nazis out of Germany. I had nothing to do with any of them. So why should I pay for that? That was, people say, oh, of course not, John. You shouldn't have to pay for the Nazis or the Russians or the Japanese for what they did in World War II. Well, that happened long after, right? The whole slave thing happened, but for some reason, something that happened even further back in history, we are all responsible for. It's ridiculous. It really is. We should worry about what people are doing today. While I get ready for your next question, I've got one I want to bring up to you. Right? Why are we worrying about what happened 150 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, and wanting to get, accountability for that? Well, why don't we want some accountability today, folks? The United States government wants to send cluster bombs to Ukraine, folks. Many countries, I think it's over 100 countries, say it is a war crime to use cluster bombs. The cluster bombs, folks, are essentially a bomb that just sends thousands, if not millions, of pieces of steel and explosive shrapnel flying, and it takes out everybody. A bomb doesn't look and find out where the bad guys are and not go where the kids and women and innocent people are. They cover an immense amount of territory. A cluster bomb explodes and delivers raining death on just a huge area. The effective casualty radius of them, I don't even know. It's off the charts. Cluster bombs. Well, Lindsey Graham, that's right, light in the loafers, sissy pants Lindsey Graham. He wants to send cluster bombs over to Ukraine, just like Joe Biden does. Who are these people, folks? Do they meet the definition of a war criminal? If they want to send these types of munitions, they want to give them to Zelensky. What does Zelensky say, folks, about killing Russians? What does the Ukraine military, the Ukraine political establishment under Zelensky say? They want to kill all the Russians they can. They don't seem to discriminate between women and children and Russian military. They want to kill all the Russians they can. So if we meaning the United States government, not me and you, if the United States government gives cluster bombs to Ukraine, who do you think they're going to be used on? Do you think they're going to be used, well, in any capacity, in any way, is a war crime? Do you think they'll be used on Russian soldiers? Do you think Ukraine is going to drop them on civilian targets? What do you think? Which way do you think they're going to go with this? You know what I think? I think they're going to go after civilian targets because they don't give a shit. I think that Ukraine is willing to do anything at this point to threaten and push Russia and Putin back. I would think that Zelensky would do anything he can to start World War III, because I think he believes that if he can get the United States into the war and Germany and the rest of Europe, that he can win and defeat Russia. Well, Russia, I think, is now demanding that Odessa, the city of Odessa, the port city of Odessa, be turned over as part of the terms of surrender in the war. It's going to get bad, folks. It's going to get bad. I hope you're prepared for what is coming, especially if Zelensky gets his hands on these cluster bombs. What do you think about the cluster bombs, folks? Right now, you're not supposed to use chemical weapons of mass destruction. You're not supposed to use biological weapons, which are a weapon of mass destruction. And certainly everybody knows you're not supposed to use nuclear weapons, which are also weapons of mass destruction. But what is a weapon of mass destruction, right? Is a Moab, mother of all bombs, is that a weapon of mass destruction? It's funny how, maybe funny is not the right word. I find it fascinating that the US government can entertain the idea of sending cluster bombs over to Ukraine for them to use, but they look at you and me as Americans and say, you shouldn't have AR-15s. You shouldn't have any guns at all, right? Just like Beto says. Just like Beto says.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Hell yes, they're going to take them. But they don't even, do they even know who they're giving these fucking bombs to over there? Do they know the mentality of the people on the front line who are going to use them? How prejudicial they are against another ethnic group? How indiscriminately they'll use the weapons? It's crazy, folks. Now, right now, you're probably saying to yourself, well, it's a terrible thing, John. It's just awful. It's just awful. There's nothing I can do about it, though. Let me ask you this. What if Biden or General Milli Vanilli or Secretary Lloyd Austin, what if they decided to use cluster bombs on Americans in our country? What would your response be to that? Let's just say you lived in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Tallahassee was the site of huge protests against Joe Biden, and they dropped a cluster bomb on a protesting crowd and just obliterated and shredded everyone into salad. If you lived in Knoxville and they did that to the people in Tallahassee, what would you do? Would you be like, oh shit, I better shut up? Or would you turn around, face Washington, D.C., and start marching towards it? I wonder what Americans will do when this happens. At some point, the U.S. government will turn on us even harder than it already has. You know, they would rather coerce you by threatening you or offering you a bribe. But at some point, they're actually going to turn to violence. That's my opinion. At some point, they're going to turn and do an act of violence. Now, if they used a cluster bomb on a protesting crowd, You might say, well, they used a big enough bomb to take care of a big enough problem. Well, what if they turned individual agents on us all and individually came after us, one by one, picking off American citizens? Is that any worse or any better? To kill 1,000 people all at once, or to kill 1,000 people with 1,000 assassins? As far as I'm concerned, folks, they're all really a bunch of sick bastards, because they've contemplated every scenario to see which one works best for them. And they'll all deny it. We have people in the media, though, who are more than willing to tell us their appetite and their thirst for your destruction. Your destruction is their thirst. They're hungry for it. They're insatiably hungry to destroy America. Look at what they're doing. All right. It's a topic, and I know I can go on and on about it. These people, folks, they're pushing for war. They're pushing more than you know. More than you know. All right, let's change subjects. Let's go with this one, right? Let's give you some good news out here. Get your super chat donation in, pow. Get your question up, and I'm going to hit this subject here. Well, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, that would be a federal court, folks. The Sixth Circuit has reinstated the Tennessee law. That's right, I chose Tennessee on purpose. They've reinstated the Tennessee law protecting children from hormone therapy, what the left likes to call gender-affirming care. That's right, folks. They're going to go back and forth. Ultimately, folks, I think that the question of gender-affirming care is going to be much like the abortion question. It's going to fall on the states. States have rights. States are sovereign countries, folks. They are. They have their own constitutions. We have our own executive branch, our own legislative system, our own courts. All the federal government was supposed to do was make sure that we treat each other fairly from state to state, but that people were free to live wherever they wanted in this union of states. Well, we have a bunch of wacko judges out there, folks, as much as we have a bunch of wacko teachers, wacko politicians, wacko support groups for this whole gender destruction system. What do you think is going to happen in Tennessee, folks? Do you think the liberals are just going to give up and go away? Or do you think they're going to keep pushing for children to hurt themselves? Oh, man, I remember years ago, hey, we need to protect the children. I remember just a few years ago with Cerveza, hey, if we can save just one life. Well, I don't know of any kids who are dying because they haven't had their genitals cut off. I don't know of any kids who are dying because they haven't got hormone treatment therapy. What I do know is that kids are hurting themselves because people are convincing them that they are a different gender than what they really are. And that there is a lot of mental health issues out there that's being pushed on kids by their parents, by their teachers, by friends and family around them, and encouraging this insanity. And it's costing a lot. It truly is, folks. Lawfare, that is to say warfare in the courtroom, it is persisting. It's going to continue, and it's going to be yet another part of SHTF that we're going to have to continue to deal with. Folks. Let's do this. Let's do a super chat donation. What do you want to talk about? This is your show, folks. It is Sunday Night Live, and IB Hunter does a Canadian $10 super chat donation and gets us a super sticker. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Every penny helps. And make sure we got Spam, and make sure we've got tuna fish, and make sure we got whatever it takes to stock the pantry for SHTF, folks. We've got months of BS coming, whether it's power outages, terrorist attacks, and hell, we're even hearing a lot more about what? Electromagnetic pulse attacks, cyber attacks. Folks, we're being threatened by our own government. We're being threatened by other governments. Hell, we're even being threatened by aliens, right? Aliens. All right, Jolene, what else have we got out there as we roll up on hour number 2? We got Count Chad the Impaler back with another $5 super chat donation. And he says, I know what master unelected bankers, billionaires, and bureaucrats serve. Do you see it there, folks? Count Chad the Impaler, bankers, billionaires, and bureaucrats, 666. He says he knows what master. Who is their master? Right? It is Rex Mundy, folks. Rex Mundy, the king of the earth. Right? The king of the earth. The bad guy, the adversary. Think about it, folks. You know what's right and you know what's wrong. Am I correct? You know how to be nice to someone, and you know how to break the law, break the rules, and be bad. There's no question about what is good and what is bad. Right? To be the opposite of good is to be one's adversary. To be adversarial to the people, to children, to laws, to nations. Right? You can start at the very bottom and you can just climb your way up. Being bad to people, families, states, being bad to companies, countries, just the whole system. If you're trying to destroy it, you're the adversary of it. Satan, adversary, right? That's what we've got. Just an incredible system. Yeah, what do we have to say about that, right? Crazy, crazy days. Well, give me one quick second here. One quick second. There we go.
It be
I couldn't help it. Sorry, yeah. We know who the adversary is. We know who they serve. So why would we listen to them? Why would we believe them? Why would we give them our thinking, right? Why would we let them tell us anything? Now get this, folks. Let's switch gears a little bit more and go back this way. The University of Cincinnati, they have taken back their reprimand, their punishment of for a professor who accused of failing students who used the term biological woman in assignment. That's it. So what happened was a student used the term biological woman to describe women, someone with a vagina. And so this student was failed by the professor. And so that became big news last week. So the University of Cincinnati said, hey, you can't do that. Someone wants to use a term, biological woman. Whoever thought of using a term like that, biological woman, would be grounds for getting failed. Well, this professor did. And then the university said, and then now they're like, it's fine. It's fine. You can reprimand or fail or whatever the hell you want. And it kind of reminds me of my problems I had with university system, right? That they don't like an opinion other than that which they believe. This would have been way back in 2009, 2008, 2009, when I was doing some work on my English degree, and a particular teacher didn't like my opinions, right? I was asked to write a paper. The paper was supposed to be about your ability to write a paper, not the subject matter. Well, I got into it with this fucking teacher who wanted to give me an incomplete on the assignment, right? And because they didn't like the topic I chose and how I chose to discuss it, I wasn't failed. I was given an incomplete. And then I was told that I didn't have time to complete it because the semester had ended. So I get an incomplete for the whole year. And I think the dean's name was Berkowitz. I went and saw this guy, the doctor, and he said he would take care of the problem and straighten it out. He didn't. They're all a bunch of fucking cowards, folks, at these universities. They don't like it when someone actually comes in and tells them, hey, what the hell? But, biological woman, that sounds a little bit like a scientific term. But today, I tell you what, folks, it's all weird science now. That's all we got, right? It's a big FU to the fruit salad peeps as far as I'm concerned. Why are people who are Republican, who are conservative, who are Americans, who are patriots, why are you even going to college? To get a degree, a piece of paper that says you've sucked up to the system, and they guarantee you what? 4 years of college debt and no job to pay it back. That's what they guarantee you. Hey, if you do better than that, well, good for you. Then you can make a lot of money and pay taxes, while you pay back an overpriced piece of paper. Now, that is not to say that there aren't people that go out, get a degree, and then get a good job. It happens. Even for conservatives, it happens. But I think your odds are better, folks, of learning a good trade and putting in a hard day's work. Just my opinion. We need smart people. We need them, folks. But what are we getting out of universities these days? Tough stuff. Weird science is what we're getting. These fruitcakes are everywhere. I want to thank Mr. Skylight because he's done a great job over the weekend sending me humorous memes and, of course, vital information having to do with the Jim Jones juice. It's continuing to happen out there, folks. It's continuing to cause trouble. It's continuing, folks. People are fighting behind the scenes. Fighting behind the scenes. Let's do this. Let's do a super chat donation. Let's see what you guys want to talk about. We're almost at 400 people live. We keep going up and down a little. I want to get us to 400. We're at 366. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you share that internet address with others so we can hit 400 people live. We got Will Savi with a $5 super chat donation. He says, I'm worried about free speech in America. Our language is being controlled. Oh, you bet it is. You bet it is. Free speech is being controlled. They're controlling free speech. They're controlling political speech. They're controlling everything they can. They're trying to make us think that things are happening. The world is going to be okay. Right? The world is going to be okay. The world is going to be okay. I tell you. We thought that John Durham, super secret Inspector General, was going to save us by doing his investigations and everything, and that he released all kinds of information, that Trump hadn't done anything wrong, and what came of it, folks? Nothing. Now Senator Ron Johnson, Republican, is going after John Durham and saying, hey, you're preventing him, Senator Johnson, and Senator Grassley from investigating the Russian collusion hoax. Wait a minute, I thought John Durham was on our side. I thought he was one of the good guys. Folks, what did you expect? What did we expect? More of the same shit? Or did we expect more of the same shit from these people? So it turns out we waited years for John Durham to do something. He put out a report. He excoriated some bad guys, after which nothing bad happened to them. And now he's stonewalling, preventing things from happening. They're controlling speech, folks. They're controlling Washington. They're controlling the information. That's what they do. It's a big shit show. The uniparty, I think, is a nice way of putting it. I think it's worse than the uniparty. Right? Are they on the same team? Well, I don't know if Washington and all the people in it are on the same team. I think it's more insidious than that. I think there's got to be a better way to describe it than it's the uniparty. It's almost like they're racing to see who can destroy the system, to destroy our country. That's almost what it seems like. But now let's talk about free speech, if we shall. And if you have something you want to talk about, hit the super chat button up there and get your thoughts, your question, your comments down here, and we'll talk about it. But free speech, folks, Remember that little bastard, David Hogg? The Parkland school shooting down in Florida. He made himself a big deal in that. He became the gun-grabbing little bitch, the little brat. Right? He tried riling up the world's children. That's right, folks. The entire country, all the children. He wanted them all riled up, demanding. The kids were demanding that we give up our guns. That didn't work. Then they got the kids to demand we stop climate change. That didn't work. That didn't have anything to do with it. Anyways, David Hogg, let's just go with it, right? What a name. He got caught months ago at a gun range, right? He started posting stuff. And then recently, again, he's come up. And he's been, well, I don't know if we want to use the word terrorizing, but he's certainly been taunting people who are pro-Second Amendment. And he was bragging about his marksmanship skills, folks, and saying, well, if you need more than a 10-round magazine, right, to stop a bad guy, then you need to work on your marksmanship. And he showed his group, his gun grouping, folks. At 20 yards, he had a 10-inch to 12-inch group of bullets at 20 yards. Now, when you start qualifying as a United States Marine, back when I was in, we started at 200 yards, not with a bench rest, but standing up, offhand, if you will. 200 yards, 300 yards, and 500 yards. Right? 200 yards alone is 10 times further than David Hogg, which means that our groups, right, are the same approximately as his 20-yard group, which means that it would be 10 times smaller at 10 stinking yards. He's an awful shot, folks. Awful. If he's got a 10-inch group at 20 yards with a rifle, not a pistol, a rifle. Anyways, people skewered him for this. You know, he's trying to silence people. He's trying to say, well, because I can hit a target, you don't need a 30-round magazine. And a lot of people said, well, great. Now, instead of having a target to shoot at 20 yards, imagine 2, 3, 4 people with guns shooting back at you from 20 yards. Do you need more than a 10-round magazine now? Right? How's your breathing and your heart rate going to be when people are shooting at you from 20 yards away, or 50 yards, or 50 feet, or 5 feet, right? Are you going to be able to hit that target then, Mr. Hogg? I mean, he barely stayed in the black at 20 yards, folks. But the point was made that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Yet they want to silence you and tell you you don't get to say anything. They say that, well, guns are being used to kill kids. And they are, by screwed up, felons who shouldn't have guns anyway. Drug dealers like Hunter Biden. Gangsters, scumbags, Democrats. That's right. Democrats are the ones doing most of the killing out there, folks. I'm willing to bet. Go ahead and look at the statistics. But killing children. What do you think those cluster bombs are going to do? Do you think that they're going to miss the children when they drop them on cities? They're worried about saving just one life, yet they take more and more every day. It's hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy. That would be my son, Luke. I was like, dude, I'm live right now. Love that kid. He's awesome. Anyways, let's do this. Let's do another super chat donation. Jolene, who do we have up now? We got Mr. Skylight. And he says, no free man shall ever be prevented the use of arms. And he also said, I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. That was said by none other than Thomas Jefferson. Thank you, Mr. Skylight, for the 1999 super chat donation. And these are great quotes. No man, no free man shall ever be prevented the use of arms. Arms meaning guns. So I guess the opposite could be true, the inverse. No slave man shall ever have the use of arms. That's correct. If you're a slave, you will not be given the opportunity to protect yourself, defend yourself, or fight for freedom. And likewise, no free man shall ever be prevented the use of arms. Once you are prevented the use of arms, the use and ownership of guns, you are no longer free. That's right. Once you're told no, you're not free anymore. When someone else can tell you no, you are no longer a free man. And Thomas Jefferson also said, I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. What is dangerous freedom, folks? Responsibility for yourself, accountability to others. That's dangerous stuff, right? Or peaceful slavery. What is peaceful slavery? Well, the idea that master is going to take care of you. And who is your master? Well, your master is the government. The government is your slave master. Well, who runs the government? Well, the person with the most money. Well, name a really rich person. Well, Mark Zuckerberg, or Warren Buffett, or Elon Musk, Bill Gates. That's right, folks. These rich people control the government. If the government controls you, then these rich people out here, these super rich bastards, I'm not talking about your average millionaire out there. Couldn't care less about them. At worst, they're just a bunch of obnoxious assholes and Karens. They don't have any real power, though. Not like these other guys. But they become the new slave masters. They tell the government, and the government tells you what to do. And they tell you, as long as you do as you're told, everything we tell you at any time, then you'll live in peace. Is that peace, folks? Is that freedom? That's what they want to give us, though. They want to give us all the rules and then say, just do as you're told, and we'll leave you alone. Well, they tell you what to do 24/7. You're not living your life anymore. You're living their life. That's my call for freedom, folks. Live your life. Stop living theirs. There's going to be hell to pay. There's going to be hell to pay. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Skylight. I hope you're having a great day out on the West Coast. Jolene, who do we have next? What do we got? We got Will City with another $5 super chat donation. He says, I need a 30-round mag because I'm not going to re-education camp. Well, what do you mean you don't want to go to re-education camp? Who doesn't want to be educated? Well, what does an education consist of these days, folks? What you and I, if we were forced to go back and learn what kids are learning in school today, we would call that indoctrination camp. We might even call it a slave camp. Now, I remember making the joke, folks, back in the 80s when I went to school, calling it a prison. That was before chain link fences. That was before policemen were on school campuses. We had one jackass of a cop. His name was Dumbass, believe it or not. Dumbass. Officer Damas. He showed up and was doing criminal justice classes or something like that. And he was a dick. He knows who he is if he's still alive. These fucking people, folks. And today it's even worse. Kids go to school. It's like a little prison system where they're being indoctrinated, or rather re-educated from thinking like a free person. Instead, they think of themselves as, I don't know what they fucking think of themselves as, good citizens. I think they're just afraid. I think these fucking kids today are afraid to stand up for themselves. If they're not already sissies because they're a bunch of fruit salad suckers, you know, if they've got any brains at all, I bet they're afraid of being an outcast, afraid of being picked on. Tell you what, I went through that. We all did back in my school. Everyone was afraid someone was going to kick their ass or make fun of them at any moment. It's called growing up. And you fucking get over it. But these kids today, I guess they don't want to fight back and stand up for themselves. Except in some schools they are, where they're saying enough of this shit. And they tore down the pride flags. and they're throwing the pornographic crap out of the libraries. Good for these kids. Good for them. All right, it is, well, shit, we got 45 minutes left in the show, folks. What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? What are you seeing out there in America, around the world, having to do with the economy or war, the social crap, schools, the education system, the election system? What's on your mind? What do you think other people want to hear about and talk about? Jolene, ooh, man. Who do we got? We got Brad Jones with another $5 super chat donation. He says, so many friends choose not to watch any news anymore. No idea what's going on in the world. Why? Well, I'll tell you what, man. People don't want to watch the news. By the news, we say NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, and of course the NBC covers MS and CNBC and every NBC bullshit thing and every Microsoft thing. Google News and all the rest of the shit. The reason they don't watch it is because it's nothing but fucking lies. So then they stop looking at all. And folks, there's a sense of relief that comes when you unplug from the bullshit. You're like, hey, it's not so bad. I don't have to listen to this shit. I don't need to know what's going on because it's all lies anyways. Well, doing nothing solved nothing. Your friends, my friends, our friends out there who've decided, well, to not watch the news, well, at least they're not supporting stupid. At the same time, folks, you can't do nothing because all of the radical racial freaks, all of the radical LGB freaks, all of the radical court freaks, all of the radical abortion freaks, they're all out there doing their thing and no one's stopping them. No one's fighting them. If those same people, those no ones, are doing nothing. So no idea what's going on in the world? That's right. They would rather know nothing than to do something about it. And then they get to say, well, shit, I didn't know about that. There's a cop-out right there, Brad. I didn't know about that shit. If I had known about that, I'd have done something. So that's why I tell you, right, me, all of us, we need to tell other people, wake the fuck up. Look at what's happening. Not on the mainstream news. Not that crap. Not that crap. Right? Don't watch that. Come here. Come to this channel and other social media platforms and channels that have real information about what the hell is going on. That's what we need to do, folks, is get them to realize what is happening for real. Not just saying, well, I got my head back in the sand. I pulled it out of my ass by watching the mainstream media and I'm pretty free, and then they stick it right back in the sand. Now, what's interesting is, yeah, a majority of Democrat voters, folks, not Republicans, Democrats, don't like Joe a bit, right? Joe is the face of the Democrat Party. Joe is the Democrat Party. Is he not? Think about it. Joe Biden, president. He's ahead, he's above of all the other Democrats. What does he stand for? Well, Build Back Better, Bidenomics. Total failure on every level it's been used. On every topic it's used. Whatever the hell he stands for. What is it? 3/4 of Democrats don't like him? But even though he's the leader and nobody likes him, the left is still doing what they're doing. Right? In Texas, the governor there, Greg Abbott, guess what he's doing? He's doing something, by golly. He's going to put out barricades across the Rio Grande River. Right? They're putting these big giant orange buoys across the Rio Grande. And the idea is that anytime that the illegals get in the water, it's a risk, right? And it's a deterrent to them even coming to the water because they can't go over and they can't go under. So they're putting up water barricades. It's kind of like a build the wall in the water. But it's Texas doing that, the state of Texas. And Texas says they have a right to protect their sovereignty and their territory, especially since the federal government isn't doing anything about it. Democrats, of course, are freaking out. Lawyers are lawyering up to sue them. They want to stop people from protecting their country from being invaded. But these Democrats, folks, whether or not it's Biden or Hillary Clinton or Obama in charge, it doesn't matter. These other Democrats, these lawyers out here, are willing to sue over this new idea that destroying America is the right thing to do. How much more of this shit can we take? Look what's happening in Europe right now. Not one super chatter has talked about what's going on in Europe. France is falling apart as we speak. Shit is being burnt to the ground. And it's spreading to other countries now, folks. Almost the same way it spread in America. They're starting to go in other countries and go, hey, if they can get away with that shit in France, why can't we do it in our own country over here? Right? These countries that they've moved into. Italy, Germany, Austria, Denmark. Why not? Why not start burning all the countries down to Spain, Portugal? Why not? Why not start burning up in Sweden and Norway, Finland? Why not start burning in Turkey? Oh, yeah, we can't burn there because I think the Turkish government would probably slaughter them for it. But I really feel that it is planned. It's a planned idea. It's a planned system they have. They're going after everybody, folks. They're doing their very best to bring everybody down, America included. Did you think that America was going to be America the Great, America the Beautiful, land of the free, home of the brave, while the rest of the world destroyed itself? No, this is a concerted international effort to destroy America and the world, not to leave America standing. You see, World War I was brought about to bring in the military-industrial complex, to bring in central banking authoritarianism, and to solidify the idea that national governments can do whatever they want to their people in times of war. That's right. That's shortly after, folks. In 1913, the United States of America got the Federal Reserve System, a private banking cartel. And just a few short years later, we had World War I. Then we had our collapse. Right? We had Wall Street collapse of 1929 that lasted for 3 years, by the way. And then we had the Great Depression, which was followed by, again, another world war. It's some crazy business, folks. Who's in charge? What are they doing? Are you prepared? Honestly, there's a lot of you out here right now. We've got, 362 people after almost an hour and a half of talking about all the shit that's going down. Right? They want to bring this country down. Now, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Afghan War, the Iraqi War, all of these wars, the war in the Bosnian territories, the Croatian wars, whatever you want to call them. Guess what? We've had all these wars, but it didn't give them ultimate control and total control of every country around the planet. Well, they're trying for it now. They're trying to bring down Europe, bring down Australia, Canada, America. You think they're going to bring down Russia? They're trying right now. What about China? I think they're fucking afraid of China. What about India? I got some documentation, some information just last night that India is now passing China in population. 1.4 billion people to China's 1.4 billion people. Folks, America has 350 million people. Between India and China, we have approximately 1/10 of their population. We're not going to defeat them with an army. It's going to have to be something else, isn't it? Well, we've got our work ahead of us. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. Well, shit. You know, are we going to get there? We got a lot of work ahead of us. Well, let's get down to some little things here. let's go back to our country, back from the giant picture, back down small. 7 states, well, they're attorney generals anyway, have sent Target, that's right, Target, the company that wants to sell gender affirming clothing and books and other little good, cute things, right? For Pride. Well, 7 attorney generals have sent Target a letter saying, hey, your displays may have violated laws that, quote, protect children from harmful content meant to sexualize them. If we're going to win this war, folks, it's going to be at the local level. It's going to be by you getting active and me getting active and all of us getting active and telling our local politicians and our state politicians, stand up for us, like Texas putting their own barricades in the river, like Tennessee saying, hey, you're not going to do this gender drug shit. And attorney generals coming together and going to large corporations like Target and saying, hey, you know, what you're doing is against the law. Right? Now, what are these states? Well, the Indiana Attorney General, Todd Rokita, and he had other attorney generals join him. Arkansas, Idaho, Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri, and South Carolina. That's a nice union. Good. And he wrote this, as the chief legal officers of our states, we are charged with enforcing state laws protecting children and safeguarding parental rights. State child protection laws penalize the sale or distribution of obscene matter. A matter is considered obscene if the dominant theme of the matter appeals to the prurient interest in sex, including material harmful to minors. Indiana, as well as other states, have passed laws to protect children from harmful content meant to sexualize them and prohibit gender transitions of children. Isn't that interesting? Sounds like a reasonable set of statements, doesn't it? These people are charged with doing a job, and one of those parts is protecting children from being groomed. And they're letting Target know this. So what did they have to say, right? They're saying that Target wittingly marketed and sold LGBTQIA+ products to families and young children as part of a comprehensive effort to promote gender and sexual identity among children. This year, Target reportedly promoted and sold products in our states that included, among other products, right, shirts labeled girls, gays, theys, pride, adult, drag queen, Katya, girls swimsuits with tuck-friendly construction. You know, all of these, just reading it makes me sick. Not to mention their satanic, Satanist-inspired brand of clothing, known for designs to glorify violence, including phrases like "we bash back" with a heart-shaped weapon, mace, and the trans flag colors, transphobe collector with a skull, homophobe headrest with skulls beside a pastel guillotine. Isn't that cute how they use pretty colors and destructive devices? Interesting stuff, folks. Interesting stuff. Target also sold products with anti-Christian designs such as pentagrams, horned skulls, and other satanic products. One such design included the phrase "Satan respects pronouns" with Baphomet, the hermaphrodite, on the shirt. I wonder who inspired all of these things that Target sold.
Could it be Satan?
That's right, Satan. So anyways, these are real attorney generals, folks. You know what they need? You know what these attorney generals need? They need you to support them. In all of these 7 states, in all 50 states, folks, they need you to support them. They need me to support them. They need to get letters from us telling them, go after them, sue them, prosecute them, throw their asses in jail, right? They're selling books that promote the destruction of themselves, right? Anyways, folks, the fight is on. These people are trying to destroy our country, and we're fighting for it to get it back. Are you telling me that shit hasn't hit the fan? Are you telling me that you don't think this is going to get crazier? I'm telling you, I really think it is. What do you want to talk about on this topic? What matters to you about all of this that's going on? I mean, I'll keep going. Give me your super chat donation, your question. We'll put it right here on the screen and talk about it. Well, let's talk about guns, shall we? Let's talk about guns. Well, in New York, folks, some wild-eyed screwball left-wing idiot was on a scooter, a little moped type thing, went on a random shooting spree in broad daylight, folks. The jackass wanted to be a mass murderer. Unfortunately for him, and rather fortunately for the general public, it's rather hard to actually shoot and kill people while you're in a moving vehicle. That said, he did manage to kill one 87-year-old man and injured 3 others. That's what these people are all about, folks. You want to, watch some dystopian violence movie, and you'll see what's happening in our country. You know, I like to think of New York way the hell up there, way up north. I like to think of it as being another fucking country because it has nothing to do. It doesn't reflect America to me in any way at all. It reflects the absolute scum of the world. Can you imagine being a billionaire in New York? Why would you want to stay there? What's in New York for you, except unless I guess you're on Wall Street screwing people out of their fucking retirements that they pay into? Right? Millionaires, why are they going to stay there? They're not. They're leaving. They're fleeing these shitholes that are turning into lunatic asylums on the loose. That's going on right now. Mayor Adams, too busy insulting old Jewish Holocaust survivors to give a fuck. Too busy telling everyone else, hey, we're going to put homeless third world illegal immigrants, we're going to house them in schools over the summer. What makes you think for 1 second in New York City that if they put these illegal immigrants inside schools, that when the school year starts, they're going to take them out of those schools and put them somewhere else? Where are they going to put them? If they've got nowhere to put them now when it's warm outside, where do you think they're going to put them when it starts getting cold? I think these people, folks, these leaders are a part of a sick cult. I think they probably do agree with what's going on with Target. In fact, where are all of the radical, pro-trans activist actors and news personalities? Where are all the politicians? They should be standing up and screaming for more Bud Light and more Target stupidity. Except I think Americans are waking up. They're starting to see what these people are doing. In fact, this one cracked me up, right? Up in Canada, Justin Trudeau, their prime minister, attended a Muslim pancake breakfast. But he couldn't even go out in public and do this without rattling and riling up conspiracy theorists, because he was using strange hand gestures at this barbecue. What is wrong with them? Can't they do anything in life without, I don't know. I just don't get these people anymore, right? Hillary is silent, and then all of a sudden she wants to jump up when the word cocaine is being thrown about because it's in the White House. It's almost like even though the attention that's being given politicians like Mayor Adams of New York City, or Joe Biden, mayor of Washington, D.C., right? They're jealous of the attention he's getting, and they want their own attention, so they just can't help but go out in public and do stupid shit like Justin Trudeau did. Well, they're doing the same thing in England. They're doing the same thing around the world. These moronic politicians are continuing to just make and say the stupidest shit. Kind of like NATO wants to promote a completely inexperienced politician to run NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a military organization. So we need a lady who has no idea, or is someone going to argue that she really understands? And even if she was in the military and was an officer, a flag grade officer in the military, what are the flag grade officers of NATO doing right now with Ukraine? Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. They're fucking losing. They're getting their ass kicked up one side and down the other fighting the Russians. We're supposed to believe that the Russians are a bunch of idiots with a bunch of rusted T-82 old-time, battle tanks, that it's a crap hole of a country, yet we can't beat them with all of our brilliance. Crazy, crazy folks. What's her name? The one that's taking over? Van der Loser? Anyways, the counteroffensive, folks, that NATO has helped Ukraine run has failed. They're now in a corner. What are they going to do? What's left to try and do to defeat the Russians? Let's see. Well, whether or not you believe, or I believe, or anyone believes that Prigozhin of the Wagner Group, right, was a traitor, a trickster, a double agent, a triple agent, a quadruple agent. He was part of the private military contractor PMC group out of Russia, the Wagner Group, who alone has been defeating Ukraine, which is supported by NATO and England and the United States government. What's next? Is NATO and Joe Biden going to abandon Ukraine like they abandoned Afghanistan? Well, you would think they should. I mean, that's what you do, right? You abandon shit, you just leave it. Wow. Just absolutely wow. I mean, does any of this matter to you guys? I mean, does this get you thinking? All they've done is just blown money over in Ukraine. Why? Their counteroffensive failed. Everything they've done has failed. And then Russia just starts blasting the shit out of them again anyways. I thought Russia was weak. I thought they were nobody. I thought they were small. I thought their military was shit. I thought the Russian people didn't support this war. What do you want to believe, folks? If you looked at America and America was attacked, half of the country would say, we don't want to go fight because we're a bunch of Democrats. The other half of the country would say, we don't want our country being invaded by any other country. It doesn't fucking matter. We're fighting. And I'm sure in Russia, there's lots of people who aren't happy about the fight. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who said, you know what? The fucking Ukrainian Nazis were killing our people in Russia. They're killing Russian ethnic people in Ukraine even. They go door to door. Hey, are you Russian? Oh, cool. You're in Ukraine and you're Russian. And they just shoot them. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that didn't happen. They go door to door, find out who the Russians were, and we're killing them. Am I wrong? Just asking a question here. Wow, folks, that's who we have. So, abandon Afghanistan, or are they going to go nuclear? Well, weapons of mass destruction, they're going to start with what? Cluster bombs? It just came up again last week that, yeah, they were trying to go nuclear. They were trying to what? Well, Russia was saying Ukraine, and Ukraine was saying Russia was going to try and blow up the huge, massive, Europe's largest nuclear power plants in Zaporizhia, that they were trying to blow them up. Well, the Russians already control them. If they wanted to blow them up, they just would. They would. How hard would it be? And how hard would it be, folks, for some rogue U.S. military, pseudo-military company, how hard would it be for them to get a bunker buster and drop it right on top of a nuclear reactor? I mean, for you and me, it's impossible. For them, is it possible? Would they? Could they? Are they that daring? I guess we're going to find out, right? We'll probably find out at some point how far they're willing to go. Are they going to actually drop nuclear weapons at some point? tactical nukes, a big bomb. Are they going to actually bomb Moscow again? Well, they tried it a few weeks ago, folks, didn't they? They went after Putin several times. They've been pushing for it, begging for World War III. I'm finding it fascinating, folks. I find it fascinating that Putin hasn't gone more widespread. He's remained very focused on his mission in Ukraine. Very fascinating. Now, once again, that's the macro European theater, Western civilization. Let's take it very local, folks. There are armed thug gangs sweeping through Chicago, folks, over the weekend here, terrorizing the people of Chicago. Robbery right now is at a 5-year high. Who did they just elect? Well, I heard they elected a law and order super duper mayor. No, they didn't. They elected a socialist who has decided to call these roving gangs of violent criminal youths. They're just kids, just being kids, right? Well, little groups of 3 to 5 people with masks jump out of vehicles and rob victims on the streets, folks. That's what they got going over there, right? And they're doing it, well, at all times of the day, but especially at night, right? They're robbing people of whatever they have of value on them, their phones, their wallets. Crazy stuff. Just looking at these stories, folks. Chicago police, well, they have spokespeople that come out and give alerts, right? There's alerts, right? Look out. It's dangerous in this area. It's dangerous in that area. All the criminals have to do is go to another area. How hard is it to get in your car if you've got a BMW X5 SUV and you want to take your 3 or 4 or 5 man crew to another area of the suburbs and start robbing them there? Crazy stuff, folks. Crazy world we're in. People, man. Where are we at? Literally. Where are we at? All right, Jolene, we've got another super chat donation. Let's see what it's all about. We've got Marilyn Myers with a $1.99 super chat donation. Thank you, Marilyn. Good to see you again. And since you don't have a question, I'm not seeing a question there. I've got one for you. I've got something for you. How about this? A criminal who served 30 years in prison, folks. What was the crime? Well, attempted murder. It says, if you see a TERF, punch him in the face. So this person who was in 30 years, folks, is telling other people, you need to punch someone in the face. Well, TERF is used to describe a woman who rejects trans people as women. Because, they believe in science and biology and everything else. So a TERF is a trans exclusionary radical feminist. See, the left-wing people don't like each other. So feminists, folks, who I have no love for, women who hate traditional men and hate tradition. Apparently, there's some feminists who also hate trans men because they're men, or trans women because they're men pretending to be women. So now we have them attacking each other yet again. But don't worry, folks. I'm sure they recommend probably punching any women. But yeah, oh yeah, by the way, Sarah Jane Baker, this is this person who served 30 years in jail for attempted murder, happens to be a trans fruit salad person. That's right. Not a real man, not a real woman. It's something else, right? gets out of jail, stands in front of an Antifa flag, folks. Understand, these people are all on the same team. Yes, they're going to fight with one another. Yes, they're going to conflict. They're going to conflict with themselves. They're going to conflict with others. They're going to make no sense. They're going to attack everyone else. They're going to look like a bunch of radical, idiotic hypocrites. But they're still going to be violent and stupid. All you need to know is they're leftist idiots. Absolute leftist, idiotic morons. Leftist, idiotic morons. I mean, literally, folks. In Georgia, there's a Democrat mayor. I'm sure there's lots of Democrat mayors in Georgia, but what separates this guy from the other Democrat mayors in Georgia? Well, like these ding-dongs, dingbats, fruitcakes, ho-hos, and dipshits, this Democrat mayor was arrested for trespassing and burglary. He's a mayor. What is a mayor doing trespassing and burgling someone else's house? Well, he was arrested because the homeowner held him at gunpoint until the police arrived. That's right, folks. That's who these Democrats are. I guess they're not satisfied stealing your paycheck and charging you taxes on everything else. They want to come to your front door and sneak in, right? So this idiot mayor named Khalid Kamau, he is a socialist mayor. Don't worry, in his mugshot when he was booked, he's smiling and grinning like a fucking idiot. He was charged with criminal trespass and burglary in the first degree. When they look at a leader, folks, and they say you should lead by example, what example is this dumb fuck setting? Khalid Kamau was let out on an $11,000 bond. He's the mayor, folks. He's the literal mayor of South Fulton. He decided that he should just apologize to his constituents, and he thought the house was abandoned and just wanted to see it. How can a house be abandoned if someone lives in it, right? And the someone who lived in it had a gun, and I mean, that who's going to believe that story? Khalid Kamau, I guess, didn't bother to do any thinking prior to this. I just wanted to see the house. I do apologize to the voters. I thought it was abandoned. That works. Oh, well, if that's the situation, Mr. Mayor, then you can go on your way. No, he made this ridiculous fucking excuse. And then he said that the arrest of him would highlight some of the iniquities that had been happening. That's right, folks. He was going to use his own arrest to highlight some of the iniquities that have been happening in South Fulton. Now, what inequality, what inequity, meaning what unfairness happened? Well, because he's black and his name is Khalid Kamau. Then obviously he was arrested because he was black. Right? That's what he wants everyone to believe. That's how ridiculous these people are, folks. That's who these people are. They want to punch people. They want to attack people. They want to destroy this country. They want to go after children. They want to sell children destructive propaganda and devices and pornography, because that's who they are. That's what they are. That's what they believe should happen. Thank you again, Mr. Skylight, for sending me that information. This is where we're at, folks. This is what we get. This is what we get. What do you want to talk about? We're going to wrap the show up. We're in the last few minutes here. If we've got another question, comment coming from the audience. We've got Marilyn Myers, and she doesn't have something to say here. It says, domestically, our country has such a horrible case of fat and happy blindness. Nobody can fathom the grooming and trafficking is going on in our own backyards. People need to wake up. I agree with you, Marilyn. I really, truly do. We are still fat and happy. People are still comfortable, even in crisis. When you say the word fat, I know you don't mean we're all a bunch of obese slobs. Basically, we're well fed. We're not hungry. We're not being hurt. We're not starving. Consequently, we tend not to give a shit. Happy blindness. Well, I'm fed and I have a job, so fuck everyone else. What do I care if something bad is happening across the country or around the world? What do I care because I'm fat and happy right here? What happens in the next state? What do I give a shit what's happening in the next state, the next county? Hell, what do I care if it's in the next city even? I'm fat and happy right here. Everything looks fine from my living room couch, from my back porch. Everything looks great from my location. What do I care? That's what people say. Well, hey, it's in my city, but it's not in my neighborhood. It's not in my school. Oh, shit. It's in my state. It's in my city. It's in my neighborhood. It's in my school. It's all around me. There's people all around me. I see pride flags everywhere. What do those pride flags represent? Truly, what do they represent? Well, they call it pride. But what are they taking pride in, folks? They're taking pride in the fact that they like anal intercourse. They like that. They take pride in other satanic rituals. They take pride in grooming children. They take pride in destroying morality and decency. That's what they take pride in. That's what that flag stands for. Now, a lot of gay people, I'm sure, are very calm and nice, and they're not doing anything wrong. Well, they're not the ones going after children, but the ones who are standing right there holding the same pride flag, aren't they? Saying, you can't come after me. We're a protected class. We're special people. You have to give us a break. Folks, while they attack everyone in our own backyards, people need to wake up. Exactly, Marilyn, they do. People need to wake the hell up, and they need to start taking action. Call your state reps. Call, write, email, text, whoever it is, right? The attorney generals. Join these other attorney generals. Call, write, text your governor and tell them what to do. So what I keep telling you is to tell them what to do. Voting for them doesn't tell them what to do. Voting for them tells them you want them in office. Telling them what to do is what they need to hear. Stand up for children. Protect our state. Get rid of illegals. Arrest criminals. Right? We've got a long ways to go, folks. It ain't over. You can't say, well, you know, I tried last week and I'm done. Hard work from and folks, we're all fat and happy at the moment. Does it have to get as bad as we're starving? We haven't eaten in a week. Our water's dirty and filthy. There's no electricity. Can't get fuel. The country's destroyed. Do we need to be Afghanistan before we wake up? Do we need to be Iraq before we realize how bad things are? And it's not you, folks. I know it's not you. You are here every week with me for years now talking about this shit. Well, shit has hit the fan. We finally talked about it. It's finally here for real. So what are we going to do about it? Well, you got to prep, right? That's food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. Then you need to prep to action, right? Start taking action. Part of that action is contacting your representatives. And the other part is telling other people out there by giving them that information right there, the internet address, the website for this video and others. Get them to start listening. Now you talked to them last week. Hell, you talked to them for the last couple of months. You've even talked to them for years now, trying to wake them up. I don't know. You know what'll do it? Let me give you a good example. A good way to get your friends or family's attention. Next time you're invited to a party, next time there's a family gathering, Have some fun with these fucking people. Walk into their kitchen, open their fridge, take out their beer, their wine, their take out their White Claws, take their Bud Light. Just take it out of the fridge. Hell, take a cooler, a chest cooler into their kitchen. They'll probably think you're putting stuff in the fridge. Just start loading their shit into it. Shut the lid and carry it right back out the front door. And they're going to be, what are you doing? Just go, hey, just helping myself to your stuff. Right? We're all happy. No one's upset, right? I'm not hurting you. Right? This is not $1,000 or more. Just have some fun with them. Go ahead. You know, you seem to think there's no problem in America, and this is exactly what's going on. We're being robbed blind by Washington. We're being robbed blind by the state capitol. So what's it matter if I take a little bit of stuff, right, and have some fun with them? Do it just to see the look on their face and say, well, hell, right? You look at one of your friends and say, tell your wife to take all her clothes off. Or look at your friend and say, tell your husband to take his clothes off. We all want to peek. Like, no, that's my husband, or no, that's my wife, right? You're like, well, I mean, what's the difference? You got the same people out there telling your kids in school to take their clothes off so they can play with them. And be like, no, that's not happening. Oh, really? Well, what do you call all this drag queen strip tease on pole shit that's going on at school? Blowjob books for kids. But not only that, gay blowjob books for kids in schools. That's going on. But we're fine. We're fat and happy having a party at home. You can make some examples out of shit, folks, and have some fun with friends. Have some friends with family. Have some fun with family, right? Amuse everybody by showing them exactly what's going on with a nice example. Now, you could take a Playboy, right? Don't open it because we don't want anyone to break any rules, right? But just say, hey, look at this. This is a Playboy. Would anyone be upset if I just open this right now? Would anyone be upset if I open this Hustler, this Penthouse? Would anyone be upset? Well, why would you be? There is no person-on-person sexual contact in those magazines, folks. Well, at least there used to not be. I don't know what the fuck's in them anymore. But, hey, it's far worse, far more disgusting than the fact that it's being given to children. The schools are buying that crap and putting them in their schools for kids. But you're worried about me opening up a Playboy right here? You're worried about me and pissed off that I'm taking the beer out of the fridge? You're worried about me that I'm asking to see your spouse naked? Hell, it doesn't matter if you're a guy and you ask another woman to see her husband naked. Hell, you should be proud of that because you're gay. That's exactly it, folks. That's exactly my point. Sounds ridiculous. Yet these people are, as Marilyn says, they're fat and happy. They don't have any reason to do anything because, well, they, as other viewers have pointed out, they quit watching the news. They quit paying attention. They quit giving a shit. Adding apathy on top of stupidity doesn't help anything. We've got big trouble coming. Now, sadly, when these people finally wake the fuck up and do something, folks, guess what? They're going to have a hard time figuring it out because they're not like you. You have been preparing for this. You are aware, right? Aren't you glad you're a prepper? Godspeed, folks. Get out there and make it happen. Do something to help your country, help yourself. For God's sake, help ourselves, right? May not be able to help the rest of the country, but start by helping ourselves, helping those we care about, and insisting that our local politicians, our state politicians do something. Right? Chance favors the prepared mind. Shelly Chambers checks back in with a $10 super chat donation at the end here. Says, my husband and I love the work you're doing, John. Been watching since 2014. Holy cow. Then you've been here since the beginning. Because we got started in December of 2013 with, I think after a week, I had 5 subscribers. It was pretty low. Anyways, thank you, Shelly, very much. I appreciate the help. And if you've been here that long, and I believe that you have, you understand that my mission has been get prepared the whole time. Be aware of what's happening out there the whole time. What are the possibilities in shit hits the fan? How bad can it get? All of those questions. I think are valid. So I'll do this. I'm going to wish you a good night. We've had an awesome number of people live the whole time for 2 hours. I want to thank you for your time, for your intellect, for your faith, for your generosity in keeping this channel funded. And we need funding, folks, big time, to keep the content coming, right? To keep the servers going. That's why I'm also doing the other channel, Aquatic Adventures with John. It's just another way to try and get the word out, get in shape, be in good health, get prepared. You go out, you travel, you do things, look around, see what's happening. Right? While you exercise, while you learn about this country, look around. It's a form of recon. Enjoy it all, folks, because chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Godspeed, Semper Fi.